You know when you have an idea and you just sort of you sit there and you think about it, and it takes the longest time for you to come up with something to do with it. You can't really understand what to do. You have an idea, but you don't know how to put it into practice. You don't know how to start. So it's much like a first date if you think about it. You know, sometimes you got to rip the Band-Aid off. You gotta just take things slow, or you can take things really fast and just sort of jump into it, see what happens. And hopefully the start is good, so you can finish better, of course. And I was thinking, how am I going to start a podcast? How am I going to... What's a first episode to be, you know? And then I started thinking, a first episode of a podcast is basically just a first date. So why not treat it like one for a little bit? So, of course, ideal date place for me is liminal spaces where you get an uncanny feeling of loneliness, sort of a weird in-between place. So I'm going to also be asking date questions that I got off the internet. And I'm just going to go through those and click through some images here that I've collected to really get you in the mood for our first date. And from there, I guess we'll just see how things happen. You know, might as well be weird at the start so you don't get weirded out later. If you like it, you can stay. And if you don't, I mean, just leave the video on the background. I want views. You know, you don't actually. Why did I say that? Whatever. Alright. The first question. What do you like to do in your free time? I'm a big taxidermy fan. That's a joke. No, I play games. That's realistically about it. That, or I go on walks occasionally, just for fun. I don't really watch TV that much. I've been watching a lot of House lately, at least, but that's because that's more of an addiction than anything else. So, there's that. Are you more of an indoors or outdoors person? If I had to say, I'm definitely an indoors person. I tend to be sort of a homebody, and I enjoy being at home. I enjoy the environment. The sameness of it sometimes is nice, but on occasion I do enjoy. I do enjoy camping. Actually, camping is a sort of like a little niche thing for me, where it's sort of it itches a spot where I like to get away from everything and sort of relax. To not really be a person, I guess. It's a weird sort of enjoyment. You know, it's relaxing, it's away from everything, it's quiet, and it's honestly very relaxing. I love the feeling of a warm fire when it's cold outside. I think it's the most relaxing feeling, and it's nothing, like there's nothing that compares to it. Question number 3. Who is the most fascinating person you've met? You know, I had a teacher in high school who, my physics teacher actually, and just absolutely fascinating person. Just the way he would conduct his classes, and the way he would talk about subjects, or like even talk about things that, of course, most teachers don't usually talk about. The subjects that they're kind of just like, you know, you're supposed to be treated like a kid, pretty much. You're not supposed to swear around them. You're not supposed to swear around your teachers. But he really didn't care that much. You know, he treated us like adults. You know, he said that he would treat us like college students, and something about that stuck a really good note with me. And of course, physics was just a good and enjoyable subject for me, so it naturally fit. So I think he might be the most fascinating person, just because of the way that he's influenced my likes and changed my opinion on certain topics, like, physics, for instance. There's probably more fun answers to that, but I mean, it's the first thing out the top of my head. Question number 4. What was the last book you really got into? I don't read. Really not that often. This is kind of manga, but that's less reading and more pictures. We're just gonna skip that one. 5. What are some movies you really enjoyed? Wow, these are lame questions. God, these are awful. What are some movies you really enjoyed? Love Lord of the Rings. It's a good series. The Hobbit's good too. I know people are like, oh, well, shouldn't have taken this one single book and transform it into 3 movies that are like 2 hours, 3 hours long. But honestly, I just liked it. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I think it was good. I'm trying to think. Another movie. I don't watch many movies either. I really don't do anything. Really just... God, I sound like such a loser. We're just gonna move on to the next question. 6. What amazing adventures have you been on? Oh, great. As if I haven't described how much of a homebody I am already. I went to Japan. Japan was great. I went for a spring break school trip, actually, which sounds probably a little bit odd, but it was very enjoyable, actually. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always kind of wanted to go to Japan. It's just sort of like a dream, because like I loved the food when I was younger, and still do technically. And it just always sounded like such a nice place to visit. The mountains, the agriculture, the environment, the people, they always just interested me quite a lot. And anime, but that came actually later, surprisingly. So I'm not, super heavy on that. I'm not even that into anime as of late. So it's more of a off and on thing. There's a show that interests me. But Japan was great. I went for a week and I visited Kyoto, Tokyo, and places that I can't remember the name of because it's been like a year and a half probably. But those are the 2 biggest places. That was very, very, very fun. That was super enjoyable. Just and the atmosphere is completely different. And the food, oh, don't even get me started. That was really good. I think it was called dontonburi. It was just basically rice with like a teriyaki brown sauce at the bottom, and on top of the rice was just a mound of roast beef. Kind of like roast beef, I guess. Nice roast beef, fancy roast beef. Not the Subway stuff. But and then it had like a white cream sauce on top of it. Oh God. I could eat that for days. That was amazing. I'm a big fan of that. I want to go back at some point. Number 7. What pets have you had? I have a cat. Her name's Lucy. She's adorable. I like to call her my daughter because she is, and she's very much a cat. She gets annoyed at me. She ignores me often. But I think she loves me, so that's all I can really ask for. She's the only pet that I've ever had that's really 100% mine, I guess. So that's sort of it. But she's terribly adorable and a little bit chunky. But I'm working on that. It doesn't help the way that she sits. She sits with all of her feet in a row, so it really makes her her back and all of her fluff just kind of move to the front. So she looks really. She looks really fat. Okay, 8. What's your favorite alcoholic and non-alcoholic drink? I actually don't date. Date? No. Well, I mean, I don't for other reasons, but I don't drink. I do not drink. It's just more of like a personal choice, you know. Just things in my past, whatever. It's not my preference. I prefer to be, if anything, like DD, designated driver, or just to be the guy who's sober enough to order the McDonald's food. But my favorite non-alcoholic drink is a good old Diet Coke, you know. Just give me a sec. That stuff's good. It's gonna kill me though, 100%. Yeah, it's gonna kill me. I drink Diet Coke and water. That's pretty much it. I like milk. Milk's good. I do like milk. 9. What are you kind of obsessed with these days? Kiwis. Kiwis are cute. The animal, not the fruit or the people. I think kiwis are adorable. I don't think you can have one as a pet, but if you could, I would love to have one. I don't even know what they eat, to be honest. I just like the idea of birds that have like tiny little wings. So they're not really birds, but they're kind of birds. They're really not. Terribly adorable. I'm also obsessed with playing Valheim. The game is fun, aggravating, and annoying, and grindy. But sometimes that's just the kind of game that really scratches that gamer itch, you know. 10. Where have you traveled? Well, okay. Japan, obviously. I've been to Costa Rica. Family down there, so sometimes I just go down there to visit. And been to Missouri, Illinois. Oh, California once, San Francisco. That was great fun. I got really sick at the end of the trip though. And I had an awful fever like the last day and a half, and then like the entire plane ride home. That sucked hard. I didn't even get to finish my In-N-Out as well. And that stuff was pretty good. Solid. I don't know where to rank it on burger tier list. I haven't had like a Whataburger yet, or I don't know, some other place that I can't think of right now. But yeah, and Japan's still top tier on the whole like where to go list. That's for sure. What's your favorite international food? Okay, well these are targeted. Well, I'm a big fan of sushi, that's for sure. Chicken teriyaki, because, you know, I'm white. I'm actually not a huge fan of orange chicken. That's a surprising thing to most people, I think, because I think a lot of people like orange chicken when they think, like, Chinese food and stuff. But from Japan, of course, the Donburi was fantastic. I think that's really the most memorable thing. Oh, I also had a hot pot that I didn't mention. That was terribly good, and had a lot of really nice vegetables that I hadn't had before. So it was really good. It was enjoyable. It's something that I would definitely have again, and it's very much an experience. The hot pot. I think it's more about the collective of people coming around to eat this big, giant meal more than anything. Are you a morning person or a night owl? Let me check my non-existent watch. It's 4:27 in the morning. Yeah. 13. What's your favorite restaurant? It's an excellent question. I really don't know. Ooh, well, it's not a restaurant, but I've had a lot of Zaxby's lately. That's it's mainly for the Zax sauce. The Zax sauce really just kind of sets it apart from a lot of other places, because like chicken's good, right? But the Zax sauce, their special sauce, is delicious. And I'm not really a sauce guy. I've always just been like, hey, it's that lame guy that just eats ketchup, pretty much. And Yeah, really just ketchup. That was the only notable thing I ate. But Zach's sauce changed everything. It awoke in my eyes. So, I've been trying a lot more sauces lately. And it's a weird topic of discussion and completely off base, but it's just true. Favorite restaurant? I couldn't pick one. Much less without basically giving away exactly where I live. Alright, there's this place, it's a Japanese steakhouse near my house, where I tend to get, basic white guy food. I get the chicken teriyaki with white rice and shrimp tempura, which is delicious. And it's a hibachi place as well, so they cook in front of you and then they'll toss the shrimp at you. I actually went there for I think both my prom dates. That was good fun. That was great. Girls love hibachi, by the way. It's fantastic. It's much more of a show than eating. It's just part of it. It's an experience for sure. 14. How many siblings do you have? I have one sister who's older than me by 2 years. We get along pretty well. There's really nothing to talk about there. What would be your dream job? I'm a really big fan of making videos and the whole process, and I've got a lot of ideas that just sort of sit there and stir and are annoying and just kind of poke at my head for the longest time. And there's also ideas that just come in through the roof, crash in, say hi, and then leave out your front door without even a goodbye. Much like this idea, where I'm taking you on a date while also showing you pictures that are semi-unsettling with classical music in the background. Because, I might as well get out the people that don't like weird people. I'm kind of weird. I'm not the weirdest person. I think I'm normal. This isn't the same conversation. This is off topic. Dream job. Either making videos or teaching. Teaching physics sounds like a really fun idea. Especially if I can kind of sort of strive for an environment similar to my physics teacher in high schools. Because that would just be a lovely thing for me. It'd make me really happy, be enjoyable. It's a lot of interaction, a very social job. Even though I'm very antisocial, but of course it'll be scary and weird for the first couple days, but once you get to know the kids, it'll be a lot better. It'll be more of a personal one-on-one thing where you kind of have an understanding with them. I think that just sounds lovely. 16. What would you do if had enough money to not need a job? That isn't English. I would just play games. Honestly, I mean, I'd play games, and it depends also on how much money. To not need a job, are you talking the pinpoint amount I need to sustain myself until retirement age, or just until straight up I die? Or is it so much money that I could never really run out of it and never need a job because of it? Because if it's enough money to never run out and I don't have any issue with spending on things, then I'd want to sanction some people to make games, make to take my weird little ideas and sort of throw them onto paper or screens. I'd love to make horror movies. That'd be awesome. I think that's a very good thing that I feel like I could do, but I don't have the knack for it. I don't think I can do cinematography that well. I mean, I could try, but hell, if I have enough money, I can practice as much as I want. I can take as many cinematography classes as I wanted to. But I guess it'd be simpler just to pay people. But the who's who, whatever. It's a theoretical question. That's a horrible one, by the way, because you're gonna ask a girl that question because you're is your first date and you're like super nervous, you're gonna ask her that question, and she'll be like, "Well, I'm hoping to be a stay-at-home mom," and then you're just gonna be like, "See, that's not gonna work because my job pays not enough money." And then you kind of know that it won't really be a long-term thing unless she intends to change her mind. Of course, if you have a job that pays plenty, then sure, go for it. If that's your kind of thing, if that's your cup of tea, perhaps. All right, who is your favorite author? See, you kind of rounded around to that whole book thing. Yeah, that's rough, because don't read. J.R.R. Tolkien, I'll just go with that, because that's the only book I own right now, is a giant Lord of the Rings book. I need to read the old ones, like the ones, not the old ones, the ones that come before, like The Hobbit, because there is books before that. It's just they've never been put to film, I guess. I need to read those, because, I mean, it just sounds like a good idea. It sounds like fun, be a part of a group of people that don't usually talk. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just gonna move on to the next question. 18. What was the last show you binge watched? See, this whole rounds around the whole I don't watch TV very much at all. It's a great question. I watched The Witcher recently. That was good. It was very good. Henry Cavill is a great actor, and I think he performs the role really well. It's just a funny show that was very entertaining to watch, and kept me hooked on pretty well. There's one other show that I watched pretty recently that I can't seem to remember the name of. Oh, how could I forget? House. Yeah, no, House is a guilty pleasure of mine for sure. It was like, you can turn that on, like, I'll walk up in the living room. If you have that turned on, I will sit down and I will be like, all right, I've got to go do this. You know, I'll talk to somebody, like, I got to go do this. And then I'll sit down and look at the screen. And then I'll start getting comfy. And the episodes start rolling by. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I need to go get milk. Yeah, what's one more episode? It doesn't work well. It doesn't fit into the schedule. But granted, I'm a night owl, so what's the hurt in one more hour of staying up and watching something? Or what's the point in going 5 minutes before closing to get your 2% milk? 19. What TV series do you keep coming back to and rewatching? House, easy, done. I'm just gonna, okay. 20. What hobbies would you like to get into? You can't read these like questions to a person in order. Like, you can't be like checking your phone underneath the table like, so who's your favorite author, you know? There's no playing that off, especially those last two questions, because I feel like they'll start talking, you know. These can't be, if you have to read more than the first 5 questions and they're the only thing that you guys are talking about, just stop. I give you first 10, because that means that it's either a really long date or you guys just have no chemistry. There's nothing to talk about between you two. You guys need to figure some common ground or something, because this is not working out. Granted, if you're still here, I think you find it entertaining enough. What hobbies would you like to get into if you had the time and money? See, again, this comes back to the whole, you can't read these sequentially. They'll start blurring together. They really ran out of ideas by 15, didn't they? I'll put the link in the description, as long as I remember. It is late, early, yeah, whatever. Cinematography, that'd be fun. Game creation would be nice. Writing sounds really It sounds entertaining. I would like to try and write horror. I'm a big horror fan. It's really the mood right now, especially with all these weird spaces and the music kind of unsettling, sort of. If you went on a date with Ed Gein, because he was like, I think he was like a perfectly well balanced person on the outside, right? It's just that he happened to have skin lamps, I think. People skin lamps, but if you really love somebody, you can look past all that, right? Right? 21. If there was an Olympics for everyday activities, what activity would you have a good chance at winning a medal in? God, like nothing. Maybe making worse joke. Especially when I'm tired, it gets really bad. It gets samey. It's really boring. Really fast. Or really just stupid. Where I'm laughing at my own jokes and nothing really makes sense and words start to kind of blur together. So everything's just sort of a stupid mess. Which is a great, comedy's not, there's no formula. I mean, it kind of is, but there's no real formula. Everything's sort of just you say what you can, and then you pray that they're gonna laugh at your joke. Or if they're not laughing, it's even funnier for yourself. So yeah, I guess dumb jokes. That's about it. What would your perfect vacation look like? So you get on the plane, right? And you're chewing your gum or whatever helps pop your ears. You put all your stuff away, you put your phone away, send your last text to your mom saying, "Oh, made it on my flight. I'll text you when I have service, or if I got Wi-Fi, I'll text you when I get up in the air." And they're going for takeoff. You're going to going like Japan, going to Tokyo or Nara, perhaps. That was one place that I visited. Nara was great. Irregardless. But you're getting on the plane and it's taking off. You're going that, and then you're getting up in the air. Your ears start to pop, but you got the gum, so you're doing all right. But then the wing comes off and you crash and you die. Perfect vacation. You've already said your goodbyes to everybody. And your last thought was like, "Oh, I'm going somewhere nice." Hopefully, unless you're sitting behind a baby. And then you're just like, "Thank God that this is over." No, realistically, I just want to go back to Japan. That just sounds nice. Japan or Malta. Malta sounds great too. I've never been, but if you guys haven't seen Malta, it's up by the Nordic countries, and it just looks pretty. It sounds fantastic. It sounds really relaxing. It sounds like a nice place. It looks, it's about as big that you could probably walk across it. All right. Among your friends, what are you best known for? I think I'm the most relaxed out of all of them. I think to a fault, Like, I make my dumb jokes. I say things that are stupid or that don't make sense or a bit off base, as you can probably tell. But I think above all else, I am a relaxed, very relaxed person. Where things just sort of don't faze me. They just kind of breeze right past, and I'll acknowledge them, and I'll make a joke or whatever, a quip, but it won't really get to me. I think to an extent that makes them annoyed, because they'll be like, "Why don't you get angry? Get upset at me. I made fun of you. Do something, react." Which is why they kind of keep pushing, I guess. But yeah, it's a good dynamic. But being relaxed isn't exactly a bad thing, I deal with horror games kind of well. depending on what it is. Something like Subnautica, I get a bit more. Can't do that. I can't do oceans, deep oceans, that stuff. God, I couldn't do it. Like if you put me on a boat and we're like, all right, you either will dive down like 100 meters in like a little tiny like submarine, or lose your legs. I'll be like, all right, get to chopping. I don't need these anymore. I will sit. I will be in a wheelchair, because that sounds awful. Probably not to that extent, but it's still it's very much a fear of mine. Anyways, what music artist do you never get tired of? I'm a big fan of Daft Punk. Weeknd's pretty good too. My likes sort of bounce around. Queen, Red Hot Chili Peppers for sure. Evanescence ain't bad. Metallica's lovely. AC/DC's, it's hard to knock that down. Elton John. I like a lot of music. I don't tend to like rap and country very much, but there's some songs of both that are they're nice. They're good. It's good music, you know. It's something I'll listen to and I'll enjoy, but I won't always be the first person to seek that out. It's more of just like a preference thing. It's what I'm feeling in the moment that dictates what I'm listening to. It's the mood, I guess. What are some accomplishments that you are really proud of? 100% Sekiro. Played Minecraft to an extent that I probably shouldn't. Beat Halo Reach on legendary difficulty. It's got a girlfriend. That's an impressive feat to some people. I know one of you out there is like, that's awesome, you know. That talking to a woman, talking to multiple women, going on a date, getting up in the morning is an accomplishment for some people. I think that's a fair one too, though sometimes it's the last thing you want to do is wake up. Regardless, what are some obscure things that you are or were really into? That's actually not a big question. That should be earlier on in the list, I guess. I mean, maybe like midway, not 26. More like that's a 14 kind of question, if you get my drift. Obscure things that I'm into. Singing bowls. Those are cool. Rocks. I like crystals, but not like the whole like, oh, good vibe crystals in my house, you know? It helps me move, it helps me chillax, dude. I need my moon amethyst, cause I do my rituals at night, you know, nothing like that. Nothing to the extent where I rely on those or I think about them in like some kind of mystic special way, you know? I don't really get behind that. That's not even really that obscure. Not terribly, at least. D&D? No, D&D is more mainstream now. More mainstream than it used to be, for sure. Pokemon Go. Yeah, that right now is a big thing for me. And it's a game that not many people are playing, which is both perfect, also not perfect, for a number of reasons, but I won't get into that. Pokemon Go's good game. It's better than it used to be. Trust me, I'm not crazy. It may have been 5 years ago, but it's better. Better-ish. It's playable and enjoyable. Next question. 27. What are some things everyone should try at least once? Ziplining. It's kind of fun. Laser tag. Yeah, like, I'm trying to think, like, play a video game all the way through and really, like, pay attention. Because I feel like there's a, pick one of your own choice that, like, interests you. You watch the trailer, or you watch somebody play it for a little bit, whatever. But I feel like there's a lot of people that knock video games because, like, oh, that's some nerd shit. That's some loser stuff. That's for kids. Or, like, I just don't get it, Why would I do that when I can watch TV? If you catch my drift. I feel like, if they played a game all the way through, even if they don't really enjoy it, to the extent where they're like, I'm going to come back, or I'm going to keep playing different games, whatever, I still think it's something that they should try, something they should do. Listening to an album all the way through, that's kind of fun, especially if, like, you know some of the songs in the album. So then when you start getting to the songs that you don't know, you kind of start to see the similarities, and maybe you start to find, oh, this song, which I didn't know about before, is actually really good. It's enjoyable, and it's going to be added to my playlist alongside those other, actually, like, pretty popular songs that you probably know. I think that's an important thing for people to try. Oh, excuse me. What fad did you never really understand? Man, that's difficult. Because I could be, like, real, like, sound like an old person and be like, I don't get these new fangled TikToks or whatever. But, like, even I was onto that train for a little bit. Back when it was basically just Vine 2. If you don't know what Vine is, you missed out. Basically the same thing, just shorter-ish. And sometimes more funny. Fad that I never understood. No, I think I'm pretty on top of it, at least with what I, grew up with. I guess I was never into, like, Twilight, but also I think most guys are not into Twilight. I think most of them find that kind of and sort of just weird. But my sister, she was all in on Twilight, and that was rough. That was a hard time. What's the best thing that has happened to you this month? That is a great question. That's actually not a bad question. I think that's a good question, but you need to phrase it better. You need to say it in a way that wouldn't be weird, because that sounds like a question that you'd find on the internet. All these questions, you need to work your way around these as, like, a conversation piece. If you're, like, a real, like, nerd, or really just not used to dates like me, you gotta, if you really want to put prep into it and, like, try and, like, focus on something, but it's more of an outline. You can't, like, plan your date out every step of the way with these questions, like, placed at certain points with your own sort of inclination of, like, how you're going to go about asking them, or if, like, you're going to bring up something that relates to the next part of the question, or the next question. So very much it's more of an outline that you got to do. You got to do, like, date starts, we go in, we talk, whatever. If we're starting to sort of slow down, things aren't going very well, bust out one of the questions, Don't rely on these, Sometimes, if it's a really good date and it's going very well, you won't even need to look at this more than, like, once or even at all. I think that's just sort of an important thing to think about. Anyways, the best thing that's happened to me this month is I ate Chinese food and Zaxby's in the same night for dinner. So I went out and I picked up Chinese food for my family. passed by a Zaxby's on the way back, and I was like, man, that sounds great. Then I went and I got Zaxby's. Then I came home with two big bags of Chinese food and a bag of Zaxby's with a large Diet Coke. And God, I ate all of it. Demolished the whole thing. And I felt no remorse until about an hour later when I was half asleep because I ate so much. That's a really lame thing, but it's my question. 30. What would your perfect morning be like? Not waking up until 11 and then getting up out of bed, taking a nice hot shower, and sitting down and playing some games. I don't know. I've been a big proponent of if you wake up early to go out to eat at a breakfast place, like a old diner in your city or town or whatever. That's always really enjoyable. That's something that I like a lot. Because greasy old American food, it's pretty good. You may be a vegan, vegetarian. You can still try and find something to eat there. Of course, it might not be your thing, but there's also healthier opportunities of restaurant. I'm sure there's probably a nicer breakfast place that you can go to that you can get your avocado toast or egg-free pancakes, something like that, I guess. I'm not terribly knowledgeable, so don't be, uppity about it. Is there any art or artist you are really into? Not really. Art and artists are sort of like a thing. It's the same thing with music, where it's sort of just, if it's a feeling that I have, I will look at images that relate to the feeling, or they'll come up in my own ways. There'll be something that comes up in conversation, or something that I'll seek out because that's the way I'm feeling, and I want to groove with it or whatever. So it's nothing in particular. I feel like that's also something that there's not a lot of people that you can ask that question to. There'll be certain people that you can apply that to, where it's like, oh, you're an artist, or you're an art curator, or you work in a museum or something. That's a good question for them, at least. But not for me. What do you always game for? Sitting down and doing nothing. Playing video games. Smash Bros. Playing Smash Bros. That's great fun. I love that game. I think that's really something. I love getting competitive with that. Oh, Monopoly. Ooh. Everybody I know hates Monopoly, and I haven't lost a game in probably 3 years. And I've played, I think over the course of 3 years, I've probably played maybe, I'd say 15 games, something like that, in between that range. Some of them don't last very long, but that's because either people really don't groove with it, and they sort of just get upset at luck and whatever. But I'm pretty good, I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but what am I gonna say? I'm pretty sweet, I'm pretty cool. What do you do to unwind? I tend to watch YouTube videos or play a game that I find really relaxing, or a game I've played before that I'm either really good at to the point where it's I don't have to think about it, or as simple as throwing on some music and just laying down and just thinking, letting my mind just sort of explode and go wherever. Or just talking to my friends in Discord, because there's that point, if you have a friend group that plays games online, or just in a group of people where the mood's kind of right and everybody's just talking. There's no real direction or even catalyst for the reason why you're talking about the things you are, but it just sort of flows naturally. And in my friend group at least, there's jokes that are being thrown around, people laughing, people just really enjoying themselves. I think that makes me Makes me terribly happy. Anyways, what's your favorite app on your phone? It's Pokemon Go. Let's be honest here. I'm a loser. Playing a 5-year-old game. To be fair, anybody that likes Minecraft, that game's like 10 years plus old, alright? So I don't want to hear it. And, you know, it's good. Promise. Cutest animal. Ugliest animal. I think the cutest animal is cats. But certain cats. Not every cat. Not every cat's cute. You know, but if you're going for an animal that's cute virtually every single time, almost undeniably, it's gotta be kiwis. 100%. Just absolutely no question about it. Ugliest animal. I really hate mosquitoes. Those are kind of gross. Just like, especially the like zoomed up one, and flies. Flies are, ugh. I'm not a huge bug kind of guy. Cockroaches are alright, but that's just because, you know, whatever. They're less, you know. Oh wait, no, I know. Silverfish, the guys with like all the like tiny little legs that you find in like your bathtub or near doors because they've like crawled in through their little rat holes. Not rat holes, but you know what I mean. I hate those things so much. Ugh. It makes me all like shivery when I think about it. It's just not. It's not my thing. I couldn't do it. It's like that's my fear factor, where it's like I'm out pretty much. If they're like, hey, put your hand into this giant tub of silverfish and fish out this fish out a key or something. That's it. Like if I'm in Saw, I'm dead. I'm done. Like I'm gonna this is gonna sound bad because they're animals, they're living, whatever. But God, they're disgusting. I'd probably close my eyes and just start punching a lot until I can maybe I'll punch the key and I'll feel it, or until enough of them are dead for me to fish the key out of the bottle. It's really bad. It sounds really bad. But they're just so fucking gross. Anyways, who's the kindest person you know? My dad, I think. My dad's he's a very kind guy. He does some things that aren't amazing for the family and whatever, but I still think he's really kind, especially to people he doesn't really know, and especially to wait staff and delivery drivers. I will see the man order a pizza. The guy comes up, you hand him the 20 for the pizza, and then he throws on another 20 for the tip. It's really nice to see. It's very refreshing. He does that at pretty much every restaurant. That's how I try and that's my my example. That's my bar for I try to reach, at least with how much money I can have, to sort of emulate that. And I mean, sometimes it's not their fault, and of course if they're not very consistent, they'll get a good tip but not a great tip. But if you're consistent and you're good and you're coming back, checking on us, or filling up my drink, because I drink pretty fast because I'm just a weird hybrid animal creature that consumes food at an ungodly rate and drinks like a water buffalo. But anyways, I'll give them a good tip if they're doing well, or if they keep me, if I'm happy, which I tend to be, because meeting. So what's your favorite piece of furniture you've ever owned? Furniture, really? I don't know. My desk is pretty nice. I built it. It was like an IKEA It wasn't IKEA, but it was an IKEA desk, basically, where like you put everything together. And I've had it for a couple years now. But it's got like a top part. Where's my cat? It's got like a top part where my monitors are, and then it's got a second part that's like detached with like a metal pole on it that kind of creates the L shape of it, where I can move it back and forth. It's got wheels on it, and then underneath that, into the side, back underneath the part with the monitors, is like a slide out keyboard thing, and then on the bottom there's a big thing for my PC. That I don't know. It's the only desk I've ever really owned that's not an antique, basically. So yeah, it's my favorite for sure. Don't tell any girls that, by the way. Tell them like your sweet bed or whatever, you know, something impressive. Don't say your desk. That's not what they're gonna hear, unless they're into video games, and then they'll be all about it. But otherwise, just ignore the fact that you even have a desk to an extent. Until they come over, and then you'll be like, if they're into it, they're into it. So it's whatever. Oh, I forgot to ask or mention, this doesn't apply to just, you know, men and girls. You know, if you're a guy dating a guy, that's cool. If you're a girl dating a girl, that's, yeah, whatever. Do whatever you want. Love who you want. English is hard. Just, you know, laugh. Be happy, enjoy jokes, enjoy people. It's something. It's the little things. I think that's what matters a lot, that people don't focus on. Is the little things. All right. 38. Who are your kind of people? People that love making jokes all the time. That love stupid, funny humor. That can vibe well with just kind of throwing around jokes, seeing what fits, and like running with a bit, you know. I say bit as if, you know, I record all the time and I do all these things, and I have a comedy show or something. But, you know, it applies to what I think we do as a friend group, at least in my friend group, where we just sort of run with a joke and like sort of see how far we can take it before we can move on to the next one, or move on to something else that we can talk about, or, you know, whatever happens in a game. You know, I love people at game, obviously, because, I mean, why not? That's just fun, unless you play something I hate and that's all you're about. Like if you religiously play Dead by Daylight, you're a psychopath. How could you, especially if you play only killer, or like you main killer in that game, because, you know, survivors versus killers, whatever. I don't know how you get to live with yourself unless you're really good, because I play that game for like once a year, and I hate myself. It's the worst. Anyway, I keep saying anyways. 39. Where's the strangest place you've ever been? God. I don't know. We're talking. Strange is a very wide open question. You know, you could say, oh, Japan was kind of weird because it's different from here or whatever. Or you could say that, oh, it's strange because it's creepy, or strange because it's just like a weird place to be, like being in, I don't know, gynecologist's office or something. The strangest place you've ever been. I think I'll go with scary. Scary is just makes more sense, I guess. I think scariest place I've ever been / strangest, whatever, is, that's just horrible to answer. This isn't a place really, but like the countryside at night. You know, especially when it's like dark. Well, obviously it's night, it's dark. When you're in a place that isn't well lit at all, it's like very rural. I hate that. That is always like my worst fear is like, oh, somebody's gonna walk in front of my car, I'm gonna crash, and they're gonna come kidnap me or stab me or something, or sell me off to some cartel or whatever. Which I don't think they can get much money for anything. I'm not terribly good looking in my own opinion, but you know, I've been told I'm attractive by like a person, maybe two, you know, and take that for what you will. So yeah, just countryside. Scary, it's creepy, it's unsettling to an extent. Kind of like some of these images. I did pick these up personally as like what makes me feel uncomfortable to an extent. And hopefully you're not just staring at them like I've been pretty much. Hopefully you're on some other screen looking at something else, or like maybe you're on your desktop, or forbid, maybe you just have your eyes closed. Maybe you're on a run or something. Whatever gets your jollies off, you know? What's the silliest fear you have? Silliest fear. Silverfish is pretty silly, because some people are just like, psh, whatever, bugs. But I feel like there's a lot of people that would agree with me on silverfish being not fun to look at, or touch, or even be in the same room with. I think the liminal spaces kind of fear is I think that's a valid one. I think there's a couple people that would probably disagree with it. I feel like most people would understand, at least to an extent, not exactly have the same amount of, not the same reaction, but still understand. You know, you don't have to agree with or feel the same way to just get a fear or get something in general. Silliest fear. I don't know. I guess my computer, like frying or something, or animal. One of the animals that we have in the house peeing on something important to me, like a computer, or like a phone or something. I've had that happen to an Xbox once. It was an Xbox One, so less memorable, but still a console that was worth quite a bit of money. So I think that's probably a silly fear. If I got more time, I'd probably think of something better. I should have probably went through these questions on my own and thought about actual responses, because some of these I've realized are just bad. Like the author ones and stuff, just awful. There's no good funny parts about any of that. What would be the best city to live in? I mean, Nara in Japan's like top notch. Like 100% really just super cool. Because if you've never heard of Nara, or you think about Japan and you're like, you weeb stuff, whatever, this is legitimately cool, and not something that you get to do every day, or really sometimes ever in your entire life. Is they just have deer, like hundreds of deer, just walking around the city, doing whatever, and like that's kind of their whole thing. It's like their whole touristy thing. And that's just fantastic. Or Hokkaido. Hokkaido is actually really fun and super relaxed. I just like Japan. Kyoto was really nice too. It was less of the hustle and bustle of Tokyo, but it was certainly the same feeling and a bit more, I guess, laid back to an extent. It wasn't as extreme. And of course, everything in that area is just, I think, a short train ride on the bullet trains away. It's really nice. It's fantastic. It's sort of the same thing that you feel from being in like Europe, where it's like, I'm gonna take a train ride to Germany from, I don't know, Poland or France or wherever. You probably can't take a train from France to Germany, but you know what I mean. Next one. 42. What household chore is just the worst? God, I hate dusting. Like, it needs to be done, and it should be done, but it's kind of aggravating at the same time, and also like it messes with my nose so bad. Because everybody, if you dust, unless you're like crazy and your nose is broken or whatever, you get itchy, or like, well, your nose gets itchy, or like you get like sniffles and stuff. That's pretty bad. Shoveling snow is kind of down there, but also I like the snow, so it kind of offsets it a bit. And I like the cold, so it also offsets it a bit. Alright, how many questions are there? Sweet Jesus. Okay, I'm stopping at 50 because there's like, I didn't look at how many questions there are. I think there's like 160. If you could give yourself a nickname, what nickname would you want people to call you? I could pick something really lame and have it be funny, or pick something like really cool and be like, they have to call me that, right? God. I mean, I'm alright with my own name, really. I haven't really gave much thought to nicknames, but I've never really been the kind of person that's like, ew, my own name, or like, I guess you don't even have to be that way to want a nickname, but to like a nickname more than your own name is just something I've never really thought about. So I think I'd probably just go by my own name, or I guess a screen name to an extent, one of the few that I have, which you might notice at some point or another, but just ignore it. It's fine. I'm just on this channel because it's already got some content on it that I actually don't mind, and it looks better on the resume to have a lot of videos rather than to have a couple and start doing videos or whatever. Even if they're inconsistent in terms of, release dates, but that's kind of my own issue. So, what odd talent do you have? I can turn my leg backwards. Like my right leg, I can take and I can like move it to where like the ankle, not the ankle, the knee is facing the other way for like most part, basically the entire leg. I think below like about midway through the thigh is where it starts to kind of turn back, but I can do that really well with my right leg. Not as well with my left leg. I can even walk, and it looks super weird. Like, you ever seen velociraptors? When they because they have like the weird backwards knee sort of thing. I think it's kind of like that. It's like when they walk. I'm a human, just like you guys. You're doing human stuff. Come on, guys. It's just me, normal human guy. That was a shite joke. 45. Oh, I kind of hate that image. Oh yeah, I hate that. This is the first one that I've kind of looked at a bit more hard, and I really don't enjoy that one. Anyways, if you could give everyone just one piece of advice, what would it be? It's gonna sound lame. It's gonna sound like what every other person's ever said, but it is just solid advice to an extent. Just relax. Not everything has to be serious. Not everything has to be a life or death situation of whether or not you're gonna make it, or some things that people have said are just, oh, this person has attacked me, when in reality it was more of just a statement. I think people need to relax. I think discuss things more. I think less of an argumentative thing and more of just a talk. What's the issue? Why does this bother you? Take it slower. Not everything has to be jumped to. Some issues, of course, have to be taken care of swiftly for obvious reasons, but I think people rush a bit too much, honestly. Especially in media and stuff. I feel like there's a lot of rush to get things out. especially in the game, like game journal industry, where it's like, oh, a game came out, I'm gonna play it for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna write my review to get it out before anybody else, you know? I feel like that is an issue, where it's like people will make a same day review of a game that is more than likely a 40-hour long game, or, you know, whatever extent of the game that you want to play, because of course people are going to spend however much time on what level, or spending their own time exploring, doing whatever. It's very much I think it's very pretentious. It's a rat race that doesn't need to be a rat race, because a quality review will only come out with given enough time to properly enjoy the game and thoroughly view the aspects that truly matter to the general public. I think that was the most well put together sentence in this entire podcast. Anyways, 46. What would you like to know more about, but haven't had the time to look into it? Oh, right. I don't like that one either. Man. There's a lot of stuff I don't really know about, but I would love to look into. I love, like, theoretical physics. I think that's awesome. But I already look into that, like, on my own personal time enough. So, probably something else. Maybe, dinosaurs. I know it sounds lame, but, like, dinosaurs are pretty cool, man. Yeah, you can't lie to me and say, like, dinosaurs are lame. That's like kid stuff. It's like, nobody's gonna get sick of looking at dinosaurs. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, Jurassic Park, that movie's lame, you know? These big giant animatronics that they made for it, that's just dumb. Dinosaurs is such a lame answer, but don't tell that to your date. Be like rocket science, or psychology, or something cool, something that they'll be like, yeah, I get it, I understand. Not dinosaurs. Don't say dinosaurs. Never. Just don't talk about dinosaurs on your first date. If you talk about dinosaurs on your first date, it's either a weird conversation that's gotten off track, or it's completely on track, depending on what you're talking about, or it's just not going well. What country do you never want to visit? I don't know. I feel like every country kind of has their own thing about them that makes them special. Because, like, even places like Pakistan and Iran have, like, you know, they all have beautiful things about them. You know, there may be political issues or fighting or whatever going on, but there's still points of contention where things are beautiful, things are interesting and are enjoyable, you know, because everywhere that there's people, excluding Antarctica, but, you know, Antarctica is just cool, no pun intended. Everywhere that there's people, there's more than likely something that is there to look at, something interesting. I guess Venezuela, but that's just because they have a economic crisis that's very severe. But I guess once that's over, then I'm all game for it. Sure, why not? You know, they probably have some really good food. I'm betting that they do. 48. What wrong assumptions do people make about you? I think that's something that I had a lot of issues with when staying in dorms for college. Is people would look at me and they'd see how I act and how I do things around people, where I'm not the most talkative guy in the room, and I tend to be, I guess, observant, and I don't really break eye contact with whatever's going on, unless, like, I get a text or something. But I think a lot of people thought I was judgy, when realistically, I just didn't care that much, or I just was just listening. You know, I feel some people take the wrong idea about people that are quiet but still participate in social situations. Because you can be introverted but still want to participate in social situations. You just won't always be the most talkative person in the room. So I think a lot of people thought I was very judgy looking. So I had a lot of people come up to me and ask like, hey, what's up, you know? And they'll talk to me or whatever. And then if we get into like a good conversation, they'll maybe bring up how I act sometimes, and I would just say, I really just like listening. I'm quiet. I'm not the most talkative person outside of close friend groups and whatnot, which I think people get that idea a lot. Honestly, that's more in real life, but other than that, I think that's about it. 49. That's back to the start. Yeah, whatever. Do you prefer to work in a team or alone? Again, this is a loaded question, because team can be a ragtag bunch of people in a classroom thrown together to do whatever, or like ragtag people from different departments in an office space. Or it could be your coworkers that you're close with, or it could be your great friends that are in that class, or just in general your great friends, or your family, you know. But working alone obviously is very much a set thing, where it's sort of you're on your own doing whatever. Even if you're in a group, you can work alone technically. You just won't participate as much. You're more of there to get the work done. You're not there to socialize or really dote on the details of certain things. So I'd say, if it comes to working with friends and like coworkers that you know well and family, I'd say working in a team's preferable. But when it comes to situations where it's sort of uncertain whether or not I'm going to get along with people, or maybe they're not my favorite people to work with, I'd prefer to go alone. I think that's an unfair question to an extent, where it's very, I don't know, it's very environmentally charged, I guess. I don't think that's the proper wording of it, but I forgot the word, so whatever. All right. Rounding it back to the start, even though that first one was the last one, but whatever. What has been the best period of your life so far? I guess right now. It's gonna sound cheesy, of course, but especially as the last question. Because there's so much time. You know, I'm out of high school, so there's a lot more freedom with college and choosing classes and whatever. And of course there's going to be stressful things to talk about, stressful things to think about, taxes, you know, moving out, doing whatever. But I think when you really get down to the brass tacks, like what this time is and represents, is a series of choices and decisions that you get to make on your own, or with assistance, because you know you're growing up, you're grown up to, you know, whatever extent that you are, where you get to decide what you're doing. You get to pick the things that interest you, and then you either get to follow those, or you get to make something of yourself. You can work on your craft, or find relationships with people. And it doesn't exactly have to be romantic, but even just friends. You know, this is a time where I feel like people squander it a lot doing something that they know will make them happier in the future, but don't really take the time to realize that they have a lot of important decisions to make in the moment, where they just sort of go with what they've been thinking about. Because I think it's important that everybody steps back at least once or twice around their 20s, early 20s, and like 18, 19, and just sit there and think, what I'm going into and what I'm doing with my life, is this something that I will enjoy 10 years down the line? 15, 20, you know? Is this something that I can get out of? Lucy, stop it. Psst. Really ruining my monologue, huh? That cat and her goddamn comedic timing. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. That's fantastic. But just stepping back, taking that time to think, is this what I want to do? Is this who I'm going to be? Am I proud of who I'm going to be? Am I okay with the fact that I have these faults? Or maybe the thing I'm going into isn't the most happy I could be, but it's certainly going to lead me down a path that I will be happy. Because being happy is important, you know. You can't just let the idea of monetary value or commitments and stuff really detract you from the idea of being happy. If you aren't happy in a relationship, if you aren't happy being where you are, being in your job or your profession, your major, whatever, it's completely okay to just step back, take a second, wait, breathe, and say, I'm okay with this, or I need to take some time to figure out what I really want to do, because this isn't it. Man, I really decided to end on this most somber note ever, I think. Very much a reflective note. You know, this was supposed to be fucking funny. I was supposed to make stupid jokes and like laugh about how I'm showing you horrifying kind of images while talking about how this is our first date and how I took all my first dates to these weird, creepy places where I just sat down and talked to them while sipping on Diet Coke and whatnot. Speaking of which, I'm gonna just finish this Diet Coke real quick. Give me a quick second. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's too good. Now that's what we call in the smart people division an addiction. Yeah, that's a problem. That is definitely